Deep below the warm tropical waves of the Pacific Ocean lies a world so dark, so cold, and so crushed by pressure that scientists once believed nothing could survive there. They thought bones would dissolve, cells would implode, life itself would be impossible. But in 1960, everything changed. A creature was seen moving along the bottom of the abyss, and it wasn't alone. What we found living in the Mariana Trench doesn't just survive the impossible. It has turned the rules of biology upside down. Welcome back to Curiosity Daily. I'm Furkan Faisal, and today we are diving 11 kilometers down into the deepest, most mysterious place on Earth. Our journey into the deep begins 150 years ago, aboard a British ship called the HMS Challenger. For 4 years, this crew had been doing one of the most boring and backbreaking jobs in history, mapping the ocean floor. Day after day, they lowered a lead weight on a rope, waiting for it to hit the bottom. Most of the time, it stopped around 3 or 4 kilometers down. Mud and silt, nothing more. But one day, in the middle of nowhere, 2,000 kilometers east of the Philippines, something strange happened. The weight kept falling. 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 7. They tied on more rope, and still it fell. You can only imagine the fear on that ship. Sailors back then believed in sea monsters, huge, tentacled beasts that could rise from the depths and pull an entire ship under. That wasn't just a story to them, it was a real fear. And now, their lead weight was sinking into what felt like an endless void. Finally, after more than 8 kilometers, the weight hit the bottom. They had found the Mariana Trench. But if they had sailed just a little farther west, they would have found something even more terrifying: the Challenger Deep, 11 kilometers straight down. To put that in perspective, Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, could be dropped into this hole and still be buried under 2 kilometers of dark, freezing water. The Mariana Trench isn't just a hole. It's a massive curved scar on the surface of our planet, stretching over 2,500 kilometers long and nearly 70 kilometers wide. It starts south of Japan, curves toward the Philippines, and then turns west. To understand how big this is, consider this. The Challenger Deep alone, just the deepest little pocket of the trench, could swallow 5 Grand Canyons. 5. But why does this trench even exist? Between 2 battling giants of rock. Now, let's talk about why exploring this place is so dangerous. The main problem is pressure. At the surface, we have 1 atmosphere of pressure that's the weight of all the air above us. Every 10 meters you go underwater, you add another atmosphere. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the pressure is over 1,100 atmospheres. That is like having a fully loaded jumbo jet sitting on your thumbnail. Most living cells are destroyed instantly. Even bones and shells dissolve under that kind of force. Military submarines, the most advanced machines on Earth, can only safely dive to about 1,500 meters. The Mariana Trench is more than 7 times deeper than that. In 2014, an unmanned deep-sea vehicle called Nereus suffered a catastrophic implosion while diving in another deep trench. It didn't just break, it was instantly crushed into dust. So how do we get down there? In 1960, 2 men, Don Walsh and Jacques Piccard, did the unthinkable. They climbed into a tiny steel sphere called the Trieste, no bigger than a small elevator, and dropped into the Challenger Deep. As they passed 9 kilometers down, there was a huge bang. One of the outer window blocks had cracked, but they kept going. They reached the bottom after nearly 5 hours. They stayed for only 20 minutes. Then they came back up. That dive was so dangerous that no one else repeated it for 52 years. In 2012, movie director James Cameron made the first solo dive. Since then, Only about 27 people have seen the bottom of the Mariana Trench with their own eyes. That is fewer than the number of people who have walked on the moon. And tragically, in 2023, the Titan submersible imploded while trying to visit the Titanic at only 3,800 meters deep, a reminder that the deep ocean does not forgive mistakes. Looks blue. By 500 meters, even the blue is gone. This is the mesopelagic zone, also called the twilight zone. There is not enough light for photosynthesis, but there is still some light. And here, we see the first flashes of bioluminescence living light produced by animals. Fish, squid, and jellyfish create their own light using chemical reactions. They use it to attract mates, scare predators, or lure prey. One of the most common animals here is the bristlemouth, a small fish with spiny teeth and glowing spots. There are probably quadrillions of them. They are the most abundant vertebrate on Earth. But we don't know much about them because they live in a world we rarely visit. The twilight zone may contain more fish than all the rest of the ocean combined. That is not a guess. That is based on sonar data showing a massive, deep scattering layer that rises at night and sinks during the day. It is the largest animal migration on Earth, and it happens every single day. We keep going down, past 1,000 meters. Sunlight never reaches here. This is the bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone. The temperature is a steady 4 degrees Celsius. The pressure is already over 100 atmospheres, far beyond anything a human body could survive without a submarine. And yet, life is everywhere. But it looks strange. Some fish here have enormous eyes. The barrel-eye fish has a transparent head and upward-pointing eyes that can see through its own skull. It looks for shadows of prey above. Other fish have almost no eyes at all. The small-eye snipe eel doesn't bother seeing it, uses pressure sensors to feel movement in the water. And then there is the anglerfish. This creature has a glowing lure dangling from its forehead. Smaller animals see the light, swim toward it thinking it is food, and then the anglerfish opens its huge needle-filled jaws and swallows them whole. This is also where we find the giant squid. The largest eyes of any animal on Earth belong to the giant squid. Each eye as big as a dinner plate. Why such huge eyes? To see the faint bioluminescent flashes of other animals in the dark. We have rarely seen giant squid alive. Most of what we know comes from dead bodies, washed ashore, or pulled up in fishing nets. But we know they are down there, and they may grow much larger than the 1-3-meter specimens we have found. You may have noticed a pattern. Deeper water often means bigger animals. Giant squid, giant amphipods, giant tube worms. This is called deep-sea gigantism. There are several theories why. First, bigger animals are harder to eat. Second, bigger bodies can store more energy, which helps when food is rare. And in the deep sea, food is very rare. Less than 1% of the organic matter from the surface reaches the deepest zones. That means meals can be weeks or months apart. Being big helps you survive long fasts. Third, the cold temperatures slow down metabolism, allowing animals to live longer and grow larger over time. So the deep sea is not just a place of monsters. It is a place of ancient, slow-growing giants. Below 6,000 meters, we enter the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. This zone exists only in deep ocean trenches, which make up less than 1% of the ocean floor, but contain the deepest 45% of the vertical depth range. Here, the temperature is near freezing. The pressure is crushing. And yet, life still finds a way. The seafloor is covered in fine silt. And crawling across that silt are giant amphipods, shrimp-like creatures that grow up to 30 centimeters long compared to their 1 centimeter cousins in shallow water. There are sea pigs, translucent pinkish sea cucumbers that walk on long tube feet. There are cusk eels and Mariana snailfish, which hold the record for the deepest fish ever filmed. In 2017, scientists recorded a Mariana snailfish swimming at 8,178 meters deep, almost 5 miles down. But the strangest creatures here are the xenophyophores. These are single-celled organisms. One cell, that's it. But they grow to the size of a football 20 centimeters across. Under normal conditions, a single cell cannot grow that large because nutrients and waste have to travel too far across the cell. But in the deep sea, with cold temperatures and slow metabolism, the rules change. Xenophyophores are giant, living blobs of jelly that crawl along the sea floor, absorbing food particles. They are found nowhere else on Earth except the deepest trenches. You might be wondering, if there is no sunlight, where does the energy come from? The answer is chemosynthesis. Every time we send a new probe into a deep trench, we find something new. In 2021, scientists discovered a new species of snailfish living at 8,300 meters. In 2022, they found giant amoebas and strange mushroom-shaped